Hi you guys, welcome back to another Amber and the Truth video. I am Amber, and what I do is expose the truth, the gospel truth that is. And today we're going to be talking about what you don't see can hurt you. Things you cannot see often make a big difference in your life. A skateboard left on the stairway you don't see in the middle of the night can have a big impact upon your life. Invisible bacteria in your chicken salad sandwich at lunch can rearrange your whole afternoon. An undetected computer virus can set you back hours or days when it attacks your home, computer, or office network. A buildup of cholesterol or plaque in your arteries or a growing mass of cancerous tissue can dictate significant changes in your life in the days to come. These scenarios are familiar to us, and responsible people take adequate measures to shield themselves from these unseen menaces in the physical world. Far more crucial, however, are the issues of the unseen spiritual dimension, since choices in the spiritual realm can be eternal, consequential. In addition, living in the light of the unseen spiritual realm can add joy and peace to everything that happens in the physical realm, both good and bad. Life is hazardous for the spiritually blind. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. Thorns and snares are in the way of the froward. A man with spiritual perception can see the difficulties ahead and prudently avoid them, but the path of spiritual blindness will be filled with hidden traps. What seems to them like momentarily indulgences and innocent pleasures become life-dominating habits that hold them in ever-constricting traps. Sadly, they never see the catastrophe coming, and many do not even recognize the entrapment, even while it's in its cords. The scriptures are full of warnings to spiritually blind. Proverbs 14:12 says, "There is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death." Spiritual blindness in many believers is most evident in how easily they are influenced by the world. Worldliness is taking our cues from the world as what is important in life. It is of serious concern to God. Too many Christians play with the world as unruly children play in the forbidden medicine cabinet in the bathroom of their home. These unsuspecting and disobedient youngsters may pop pills and smear ornaments on each other with no knowledge of the danger involved. They just know they're having fun, and that is all that matters to them. Spiritually, insensible believers pop this or that or movie or concert, this or that mind-numbing experience with no thought of its toxicity or potency. Too many believers merely ask themselves, is the drug in the medicine cabinet legal? They want to know only if the Bible directly forbids a certain activity. If not, they assume they can indulge in it and claim it as their Christian liberty. Think with me about this. Approach with your doctor. Suppose you ask your physician, "Doc, is it legal for me to take ibuprofen for my headache? Or is it within my liberties to consume this drug?" He would think your question to be quite strange, since the important issues are more involved than just whether ibuprofen is a legal drug. The fact that the law does not forbid a drug use does not mean that you should take it. Your doctor has many questions to ask before he can give you a helpful answer. How much are you planning to take? How often are you planning to take it? What other medications are you taking? What might be causing your pain, for which the ibuprofen will only alleviate the symptoms? How long have you had the headache? How long were you planning to take the medication? What is your general physical condition? What other problems are you having besides the one for which you wish to take this medication? And the list could go on and on. He knows that a headache from a sinus infection may need an antibiotic to deal with the infection rather than a painkiller to alleviate the discomfort. A headache from muscular tension may show a need for exercise instead of something to dull the pain. The pain may be a signal that something else is drastically wrong and needs attention. The same is true for involvement in the worldly culture around us. Asking if the content or of the song, movie, sporting event, vacation, excursion, or computer game is spiritually legal. It's only a small fraction of the issue. Even if something is not directly forbidden in the world by command or principle, the believer must ask himself many more questions before he decides whether he should partake. He must consider, how much of this kind of thing am I already filling my life with? What is being neglected in my life while I partake? What other kinds of entertainment and recreation am I already involved with? Why am I indulging in this in the first place? Is my soul restless for entertainment because I am so spiritually empty? Should I be handling the restlessness, loneliness, or emptiness another way? If I am merely trying to unwind, is this the primary way God teaches me to handle stress? Would this activity be all right if I indeed handled pressures God's way? Whom will I be affecting in the way by my example? The list of questions could go on and on. Just as a physician needs to know physiology and pharmacology to answer the question about ibuprofen, a Christian needs to know his Bible well before he can determine whether he should partake of some element in our culture. The truth to be learned about making right choices is this: you cannot make the right choices in the visible world unless you are spending much time in the invisible world. A believer dare not indulge by default in what the world has to offer. If he is spiritually insensible to the effects of this world, his spiritual life will be in danger. He must know his Bible, and he must be viewing it through illuminated eyes. His ignorance of spiritual issues will be disastrous to his heart. The Apostle Peter addresses this when challenging believers to be diligent about growing in their spiritual lives. He says, "But he that lacketh these things is blind, and cannot see afar off, and hath forgotten that he was purged from his old sins." A spiritually stunted believer can't see well and may even have serious doubts about whether he has even been saved. There is not a trail of illuminated truth that marks his spiritual progress. He cannot point to repeated times when God himself has intersected his life through the Word and has spoken through it to him. The relationship with God is so distant, he wonders if it even exists. The discouragement sets in, and he spirals downward to despair. Despair is always the inevitable result of life without light. There are times when some Christians have come into extreme darkness. God seems to hide his face through the believer and has been seriously seeking God. Job experienced it while suffering many other afflictions. He knew God was present, but Job was kept in the dark for several months. Job began his time of suffering with triumphant declarations of God's purposes and faithfulness, but as the suffering and darkness wore on, Job began to lose heart. Nothing seemed to help. All he could do was cry out for God to show himself. In due time, God answered Job and intervened with a revelation about himself that breathed fresh light into Job's weary heart. This kind of darkness falls when God withdraws himself in order to make us appreciate him more, so that we diligently seek for him as we would seek for a lost, precious treasure. More and more believers are tasting the same despair the world lives in because they have chosen to walk as other Gentiles walk, in the emptiness of their mind. I believe as I draw closer to the coming of the Lord, and as individuals and society increasingly ignore and defy God, we are going to be seen as an unprecedented rise in despair. The bottom line truth is that life is not supposed to work without God at the center. Those who try to do so, even Christians, can maintain only an artificial facade of hope and satisfaction. This grim reality is that the emptiness of life without God at the center pushes itself to the consciousness once again when the music stops, the drugs wear off, the eroticism fails, the fashion grows old, the relationships disappoint, the accomplishments fade, and the thrills subside. They are left to themselves, and the emptiness for most people is too much. Instead of crying out to God for light, however, they dive back into their activities. Understand you need God in this life. He is the only thing that will keep you level-headed, calm, and in perfect peace even in the middle of a storm. I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you guys for listening. If you are new, hit that subscribe button for your girl that one time, and also hit the bell button so you can get the notification when I upload. If you want to continue this conversation in the comments below, go ahead and say something. As always, I will see you, or you will see me, next time. Bye.